Yo, you know what's funny? My heater just came on the second I hit record. That's okay if they hear it. If
Ready
they
to
hear
hear
it,
it.
they that's okay because I need my heat. It's actually warmer, but that's okay. That's okay. Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast, episode 71. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me as always is my co-host, and his name is.
It's your guy Omazes.
How you doing today, man? How's everything
Doing
going?
good. Staying hydrated. I beat Spiderman 2. Platinumed
Okay.
it. Yep,
So
33 hours.
So you finished it completely at 33 hours. So can you tell the people probably I guess we can talk about it real quick. So no spoilers obviously, just overall, because there was one crowd that was just like ignoring bugs, another crowd that was like super invested in the bugs. And then like I was somewhere in between cuz I cracked jokes and stuff behind the scenes, but um your playthrough, was it a relatively not bug free, but was it not as bad for you as what it seemed on Twitter and or X and other places?
I had 2 bugs for the entire thing.
Okay.
But only one of them caused me to have to like reset. So the first bug that I ever encountered was just I think I mentioned it before. I needed to zip line to the top of a very specific flagpole for
Okay.
a side mission, and the icon to zip to it just was not appearing, so it wouldn't let me zip to it. And I ended up zipping to a building near it and then doing a backflip, trying to like figure something out, and it ended up just landing on top of the flagpole, and I was able to just continue the mission. The second one was actually later on in the game, and I don't even remember what point I was at, but it just like froze. Like it was like weird, like nothing was happening. Oh no, I remember now. Actually, one of the missions you have to hit like a button to do an attack,
Okay.
and the game like slows down and everything. So basically, it comes to a halt. It's like hit this button to do your cool attack, and I'm hitting the button and nothing's happening. Like it's not doing the attack, so everything's just staying frozen. And I looked it up, and apparently this was a known bug where it's just as soon as they ask you to hit it, you gotta hit it quick. Otherwise, it just like freezes. It doesn't take in the input. So I had to like reload that scene and like basically hit the button before the cutscene even popped up, and it was able to do it. Other than that, no bugs. Those are my
Okay.
two.
So the game on the screen right now is God of War Ragnarok. I played Ragnarok relatively close to when it was released.
Yeah.
And you played Spider-Man 2 relatively close to when it was released as well, right?
Yep.
So
Well,
I
relatively close. I played it the day after.
yeah, the day after. I think mine was like either the day after or 2 days after, but one thing that I remember was that they were constantly releasing like patch updates. Like it was like every week it seemed to be at least 2 patch updates for God of War. Do you know if they were releasing, like I know they did the one because of the flag, like that was an emergency PR one, but outside
So
of the flag one, was there any like extra ones?
they did the flag one, and they did one more. Without spoiling anything, for sightseeing in this town, with like a shout out to one of the characters. The building that they were normally in had like a people aren't going to see it anymore, but it had like a evicted notice like on it. And
Oh
now
my
if you
gosh.
go back, their name is back on the building, so everybody's like, oh hey, like they moved back in. So there was that, but I think the last update also undid the glitch some people got where when they were trying to switch to Miles Morales, it just became a series of blocks instead of like
Yeah,
this
I've seen
literal
that. It
block,
was kind of funny.
and potentially a few other glitches. So there was like 2 updates from what I saw. It was the flag one and then this one.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember like God of War just kept having so many updates leading up to the Game of the Year nominations and everything, and then like they had their final one where it showed on the screen like here's all the wars that they just won basically. And that particular update I remember was what kind of started to like make it worse. It was fine up until that point for me, and I was kind of annoyed because I still had certain glitches that made me not even want to finish doing the berserker fights, and this is like one of my favorite ones that's on the screen right now. But if you were still able to get through the game and everything, you platinumed it, and you said it was like 33 hours.
33 hours. Yep.
Okay, so from your experience, just can you tell the people overall, is this worth? Is this worth their $70, or should they wait for a sale?
I think if you are a fan of the first one, Spider-Man and Miles Morales, it's worth the $70. It's a great story, really entertaining. Like, I love the character. The suits are cool. The powers you get in it are awesome. I think it's no secret that he gets the black suit, as they should they just showed it off everywhere. So
Right.
that part's really cool. And it's definitely enjoyable. If you were kind of like, the first two were okay, then I'd go ahead and wait for a sale, or potentially wait till all the DLC. Because you know they're gonna release DLC for it.
Yeah,
So,
I'm in that.
honestly, just
I'm in
wait
that
there.
camp. I'm the one of the people who want the complete version. And I wanted to wait for all the DLC to be released. Horizon Forbidden West had only one DLC this time compared to I believe the complete version of Zero Dawn. But
Okay.
Spider-Man, if we remember the first game, I think had like 3 DLC, right?
I had 3. Yep.
Yeah, and I had the complete version of that game, and so I don't think it's going to be exactly 3, but I would like to wait for just a complete version of it because I already expected to have it. And if it had bugs before, it was like, well, I would rather they polish it before I get around to it.
Yeah.
I did see one of the updates. It looked like they were working on the suits and made a couple suits like shinier or something, or more realistic looking. Because I remember seeing people were showing like before and after pictures of that, of like some of the basic like suits like looking
some
better.
of them were like a little bit of shinier detailing. One of them, like the way the suit looked because of how baggy it is, it should have been a little more flowy. Like when you're like traversing through the air, and it wasn't. It was very like static, almost like it like moved a little bit, and it wasn't like immersion breaking. But you're like, this should like be flowing a bit more. So I think they fixed that. So it would do that better. But it wasn't even one of the main suits that I use. I will say check out a lot of all the suits. A lot of them do some interesting stuff. There was one that unfortunately I started using it post game just to like check it out, and the web wing design is like much different than the rest.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool. I will say, so if you play this game, try not to rush through the like story, because there's little things that happen that you could completely miss out on. Like there's certain interactions with just like NPCs, just chatting. Like I think I've seen a video.
Talk about the current,
posted
like what just happened, basically.
it.
They're talking about the current event of whatever happened, like at the moment.
Things like that. Or there was just like 2 ladies. So one of them's like, I'm new to babysitting, because they were like, like she was a babysitter, and the other one's like, I'm experienced with it. And they were just talking about a bunch of random, just funny stuff, and you could just hang around and just listen to them. So there's like that. I don't have to spoil this other thing, but like if you're going around, like just certain different like people pop up at random times that you can miss out on. So definitely I would say don't rush through the story, but also you want to do the different side quests and collectibles, because unlocking suits, unlocking gadget upgrades, unlocking skills, and unlocking like your own ability stuff, so like focus meter and things like that, a lot of it all requires the very similar like things like that you collect through missions. So you get like hero tokens, or you get gadget tokens and things like that. They all require the same stuff. So if you only unlock all the suits, you're not going to get any of your power upgrades. If you unlock all the power upgrades, you're not going to be able to afford any of the suits. By the end of the game, before the final mission, I was able to unlock everything. And everything, you just gotta, when you're flying around and like you're zipping around and you see like, here's a little crime, go handle it, or things like that. so you can level up and get all the stuff that you need to unlock stuff because they all require the same resources. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay. All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Before the God of War footage goes away completely, I think we could probably move on for a second and speak on this. Apparently, there were some leaks that came out that basically said, or they were saying that there is possibly some God of War DLC that's going to be coming. For yeah, it's going to be for Atreus, basically. So it's funny because I know it was, well, light spoilers, it's kind of was hinting at some of that anyway, the way it was kind of set up. But at the same time, from the player's perspective, he was the worst part of the game, according to the people. So I don't know if people really wanted that much, but yeah.
I will say it's probably a smart idea to do it as DLC
and not a full game.
Because if everyone flocks to DLC and goes, you know what, this is actually fun, then they can potentially do a full game if they really want to focus on him. But if no one's getting this DLC, or if everyone's complaining about the DLC, they didn't try and get you to spend $70 on a full game about him, right? Like that, because it was either going to be DLC or a full game about him based off of the way things ended. I think it'll be better as a DLC to just test those waters a bit.
I think everybody would play it. I would probably play it myself, but I do think it won't be as good as like playing full Kratos, obviously. Right. But it at the same time, his play style, it had moments where it was still annoying too. It was still, it was certain things that was just happening. Even though he had an older-ish voice, he was still his voice kind of annoyed me too. But yeah, we'll see how it goes, but it's not official yet, but I think it was expected to be mentioned either by the Game Awards or early next year, according to I think some of the leaks. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, God of War DLC. I think this is the first DLC period for God of War. I don't think that's ever happened before. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that, right? Everything else was just like, it was just full game and that was it. And then the older series on PS2, like they had like concepts and concept art. Like I remember they had an idea before they went with the Zeus story that Kratos was going to have to battle his brother, and then that just they got dropped completely. And it was just like, oh, he's Zeus's kid, so everybody his brother and sister technically. That's kind of what they went with, and just completely forgot about that.
If you go by Greek mythology, that's not wrong.
Yeah, it's not wrong. It's not wrong, but yeah, so that's what's happened that's potentially good with PlayStation. I guess if we really keep going, there's some stuff that's happening that's potentially bad. Bungie's like the main thing we've been hearing. There's also been some rumblings that even under Insomniac itself, that some people are also being laid off. So Bungie is the main thing. We're hearing that they're having like big layoffs and big cuts. I guess it's not executives, it's the people this time.
Yeah, laying off around 100 staffers and delaying Marathon to around 2025, and Destiny 2's next expansion to June 2024. Apparently Lightfall didn't do too well from the previous expansion, so it wasn't like well received by the Destiny players.
I don't know what's happening.
We tried. We tried Destiny, right? We played it. My issue is with this much content there, we're just trying to go through. It just stalled to where it was like, do the same fetch quest over and over and over again just to get to the next piece of the story. Yeah. And that I'm not a fan of. Like, I don't mind doing some like side quests and things like that, but the side quests need to have somewhat of a story to it, like to some degree. Where this wasn't. It was just like, go do this many raids, go do this many protections, and go do this, and it's the same one over and over. and we had to keep like all the missions kept happening in the same area too. So it was basically we just kept going back to the same area, doing stuff over and over. And sometimes it wouldn't count for both of us.
Yeah.
Right? When it was like take out 40 enemies.
That I think was the biggest problem I had. Yeah. Yeah. I had the biggest problem with that because it potentially seemed like we were going to have to do everything twice.
Yep.
Like when we were just jumping in some of the like event stuff and it was just like all these random people there too. That was fine. But like if you was just trying to play like some of the story stuff with people, it just seemed like that just seemed odd because I've watched people play and it seemed like they had to do that. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but it was like, okay, it only count for one of us. Just like the other person got to keep going back. And I was just like, dude, like it kept going like that. And it ended up just being a little bit of a chore. It wasn't really too bad yet. It was still okay. Because I still thought the gunplay was still fine. I think Destiny is still very good with like their gameplay development.
And visuals. I love the visuals of it. Even the chaos loop was fun. Like I love using my like fire sword ability.
Yeah.
Like all of that looked great. It was just when we got to a very specific point where like the mission options were just like it was like you had to do one of these 5 things and you had to wait because it was like it was like complete like 20 bounties, but you only get 1 bounty a day or something like that. And it was like do this other stuff. It was just like nah.
So I think last week we mentioned the information that had came out about Connie Booth, the executive, who like according to PlayStation she was just stepping down, walking away, but then like other people who knew behind the scenes, they started to report she was fired, which pretty much put the writing on the wall for a lot of other things. Jim Ryan was another name that came up, obviously. He's got this holiday season and then the first quarter of next year, and then he's out of there, I guess. But the biggest thing that it came from, though, was just the live service games, right? And I think that was like another one of your topics, and we could probably talk about it right now. So it was just like, basically, the live service games are not doing what they want it to do, which is here's a double-edged sword because it's like, well, that's what we want as like the consumer, the gamer. We don't really want to pay constantly. We just want, like, I remember back in the N64 days, it was very, very rewarding, especially on one of my favorite games, WWF No Mercy, to unlock a wrestler, right? Because they randomly showed up in the Royal Rumble, right? But if you fast forward to WWE Battleground, right? It was set up where it was like the progression was so hard that you basically would pay to get them because it would have took too long and stuff. And that's kind of the model that everybody was going with. And to me, it's overall just disrespectful. I feel like it's just disrespectful because we weren't born yesterday. Like, you can't be treating everybody like you're born yesterday and then at the same time, but you're smart enough to hand us all of your money, right? Like, that's kind of the thought process behind it because, you know, the idea of just coming out with, like, live service games instead of just a complete game. I mean, there are games out there that sort of hit it better a little bit, like Dragon Ball Z, in my opinion, where it's like...
But I also looked at Xenoverse 2 a little bit differently than some of these other ones, and that was because they were, like, releasing characters that didn't exist, right? Like, some of these characters didn't exist until, like, the new stuff came out, and I found it, like, instead of them, like, rehashing, like trying to make a third game with no plot just to include these extra characters, or just here's the extra characters. I didn't mind that as much, especially like, again, if there wasn't going to be any story around them anyways.
You could argue, like, too, Goku, his like ultra instant form was not even like a thing yet when the game first came out, but then they still put it in the game. So it's like, they couldn't have planned that as developers. They couldn't have, They wouldn't have known.
Exactly, as opposed to some of these other ones where it's just like, nah, you just don't get access to this until like later.
Yeah.
And it's just like, or like clearly it could have been in the game, and it was like, nope, DLC. And it's just like, why? I don't know, but like, yeah, it seems like with these live service games, I don't know, because it was like Bungie, Niantic, Epic Games, and it's just Naughty Dog, but like, even though they're not really a live service company, the next game on the line was Factions, which seemed to be like towards the live service angle. Like, it just seems like all of the games that they're trying to really push for live service are just not bringing in the money that they expected. So it's starting to die out a little bit. It's like I always hate their jobs. I also really want these live service games.
Yeah, it sounded like from the story from last week, like the teams did not want to do it. And so they don't even want to do it. They're kind of working at it and they're not really putting their all into it. They don't believe in it, because they're used to doing games a different way. And they feel like those are the games that everybody covets a lot more. They didn't want to do live service, basically. It sounded like they were being forced to by Jim Ryan or whatever. The morale of it got pushed into Connie, apparently, or blamed on Connie, is what we were hearing from the story. It sounded like a mess. It sounded like they have a mess over there. There is a video that I wanted to make solo about how do they come out of it. I still want to do it, but basically, I think, just to say the long story short, you just got to go back to the old Sony, I guess. You just have to just simply put out titles. They all don't have to be AAA. Maybe some of them are, but some of the games will probably have to be some of the quirky little games, maybe something a little bit more experimental, or maybe you pay more of these indie developers to just like release on your platform only, especially if you have if you're going to continue to have the PS Plus model the way it is. Maybe you can at least pay for a lot of these indie games to be day and date on the system or on the platform, because they don't really have too much day and date stuff there in the extra section at the very least. Like, I think that they should have something there if they're going to keep their model like that. And then for everybody else, you just come out with your games the way they've been this whole time. Just a game that is probably $70 or $60. I do think that some of their titles should go back to being $60. I can understand a game being $70 because of your production costs and stuff, but if you look at it from our point of view, it's like you ever see that Lil Wayne meme where it's like he's throwing money and then he wants to like not take it out or something like that, like he wants to hold it and he clenches back, and it's like the caption is like something that's like really, really small. I think it was free shipping. It was like, if it's free shipping, he throwing the money out, but if they make you pay for shipping, he don't want to like throw it out. But it's like the price was probably the same. They just discounted it to move the shipping around. It's almost the same way with the $70 game, because I think like Returnal had a rough start in the beginning with its sales, right? Like, because I think it didn't even crack 1 million. But that came out it came out at $70. I think it really would have done a lot better at 60. I really do. It's like, it's not that much more, yes, but the people have already trained at they're trained to like accept 60 but not 70. They'll look at 70 like, yo, that's a lot, right?
Yeah. 60 feels like 50, 70 feels like 100. Like to be honest, but also I think part of the issue is not also necessarily just like it's $10, right? The issue is, hey, I know all these games cost 60, but this one is gonna cost 70, and you're like, okay, why? And like, what does it do different or better to justify it being the 70? And it's like, oh, nothing. Like, when you think about it, like, if you were to go to the store and you go buy steak, right?
Yeah.
And you're about to go buy a steak to cook up. And it's like, here's this one T-bone that costs $22. And then here's a T-bone of the exact same size, exact same freshness, and it costs $32. And it's like, well, is it different in manufacturer? Nope, made by the same company. It's like, okay, so why is this one cost $10 more? Because that's the new price.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get that one. You're going to go after the other one. So
Yeah.
it's just like, or it's like, well, I don't want it anymore. If they just like, or even if online it was just like, it costs this, and when you get there, it's like, actually, it's $10 more now. And you're like, well, then maybe I don't want it. Like, you're not giving me a reason for this upgrade. And it's slightly, like, tangent it a bit. It has to do with, like, with the PlayStation Plus increase
Yeah.
in price. So Mafia 2, Dragon Ball The Breakers, right? And, like, again, it's another...
Yeah, I looked at it. It was like,
Dragon
that
Ball
ain't
The
it.
Breakers is another failed game that they're giving away, like, they're trying to give away free. It's like, you up the price and it gave away 3 failed games in a row. And on top of that, Mafia 2, I think it was pointed out, this was a free PlayStation Plus game on PS3.
Yeah.
Mafia just are double dipping now for people who've been here for a long time. They're giving away a game that they already gave away. Then they're also giving away a failed game. And then the best game on the list is Aliens Fireteam Elite. It's old and everything, but that's the best one on there. And it's like, but you up the price.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Why did you have still not shown a reason for upping the price? Like, I still haven't seen it. The only thing that they've added so far is their movie subscription that still doesn't even give you free access to all the movies. You still have to pay for some of them. So it's like, what are these moves that y'all are making? Stop acting broke. Like, y'all have money.
Yeah. It's strange because even with like, I have a backlog like anybody else. I've already wrote down and structured it a certain way to where I prioritize some of the PS Plus games, literally because I'm preparing to like let it lapse, because I kind of just feel like it doesn't seem like it's worth it. Because a lot of those games, we are in Black Friday season. That's actually another video I'm going to do, just because like the top Black Friday games I'm looking at. Just a free video because I ain't post nothing, right? So that's just something. Expect that sometime before Black Friday, hopefully. But like, we're in Black Friday season, and Black Friday usually shines for games that are like, that did not do good, right? But what we've seen as a pattern is the best Black Friday deals end up being the first 3-4 months worth of games that show up the very next year on PS Plus, on the essential tier. And it's like, well, I would have paid the money for it regardless for some of those games. Some of those games was like, the Black Friday deal was like under $20. Like, I'm really good at grabbing the ones that's under $20. Some of them 10, some of them 15. And then they just show up as PS Plus games afterwards. And it's like, but you asked, now you're asking for $80 a year for that, you know? And you've also expressed in multiple interviews, Jim Ryan at least, that you can't afford to put your games on their day and date. And it don't even seem like they're even hinting at there possibly being a surprise at some point of like one of their biggest games to just all of a sudden be a surprise like release for the month. It's like, it's not even they're literally not going to do that. They're just not going to do that. And it's like, well, everything else I could just buy it. Like, I don't see why I would just pay more for it there. And then I'm pretty sure the general public is very, very trained at this point to finding sales, period, in just any form of retail there is. I mean, Walmart has like literally set up their model to pretty much lie to everybody, talking about, well, here's this price. It's a rollback price from some other price that they made up. And it's like, okay, like, maybe we believe that when you were brand new. We don't believe it 20 years later. It's like, no, that's just you making it up. There was never that other price, right? And people take that mentality into gaming and go everywhere, and they try to find the best deals. They're going to always try to find the best deals. Nobody is sitting there trying to buy something for $70. They're only going to do it for the elite games, right? So Spider-Man would have been considered one of the elite games because the name value of Spider-Man spans back like 80 years.
Yeah.
It's like, of course you was going to spend the 70 on that one, or of course you're going to spend the 70 on probably God of War that we just saw. But it's a very, very rare anomaly that you would spend that $70 on something new. A game that's considered new was Starfield. A lot of people showed up and bought that for $70. However, it's still based on a super lineage that was built from Bethesda, that came from Fallout and Elder Scrolls. That was what people was basing it off of, and that's what justified their purchase for everybody who bought it for $70. But if you just come out of nowhere, Joe Schmo game, people ain't about to buy it. It is what it is. It looked like a cool trailer. Trust me, I run through a bunch of cool trailers trying to find a bunch of stuff for vids. But that don't mean I'm gonna spend 70 for I'll admit, like, there's a whole lot of indie games that I like that I'm excited to play at some point. There's a bunch of them that I am gonna buy this Black Friday into November, right? But none of them I would spend 70 on them. Not one. I wouldn't. It's unfortunate, but none of them was really priced that high anyway. Majority of them were like in the $20-$30 range anyway. But that's where they're supposed to be. But the way the industry is trying to get everybody to like think is like, oh, you should spend $70 for it, and then it should also be digital only. That's what I'm like. Excuse me, well,
$70 digital only, battle pass, unlockables only with extra money, like season stuff. Like, it's ugh.
Hopefully PlayStation can get it together. I didn't want to rant too long on this because now Alan Wake is on the screen. There was something else I want to talk about with Alan Wake, but yeah, we'll see what's going on with them and all of their stuff. And they're not the only ones. I mean, there was other developers, because I still believe with my conspiracy hat that this came all the way back to shout out to Iron Man snapping his fingers. No spoilers, I guess. I'm sorry, but
it's old. You're saying no spoilers for things that are more than 5 years old. That is what everybody else is saying. Watch.
Well, the game that I'm referring to is Marvel Avengers. Basically, was one of the
3
games.
Years old.
Yeah, so we don't have to get into the details of the game at all. It's just the game had a live service element to it. And I really think that even though in the gaming world we kind of dismissed that game a little bit, people either played it or they didn't. I really think in the industry, they thought that game was going to make them the type of money that the MCU was making. I really think that they thought that. And it was just like all of a sudden it wasn't. And they were like probably super upset, obviously. Because they thought
have had the live service element in it.
Yeah, because they were looking for something that was probably going to beat Fortnite. This sounds like the setup that probably could have beaten Fortnite, because in-game was hot. The lead up to in-game was white hot. It was to the point where I remember other actors was complaining about how they couldn't get their movies to be watched because like the MCU was just taking over. And it really was. It was almost like an episodic thing in the movies, in the movie industry, where you go see a movie like every couple months.
It was.
And it was like the hottest titles. And it was like, okay, we're going to get this game and the game is going to produce somewhat on that level. And it didn't. And because it didn't, it like hurt like a bunch of other superhero games that was coming out afterwards. And some had live service stuff, some didn't. Guardians of the Galaxy unfortunately took a hit,
so sad. So sad.
But at the same time, we fast forward to Suicide Squads that went from like coming out the gate with all the confidence in the world to just like running. Like they just ran off of the stage with all the tomatoes getting thrown to them, right?
Yep.
And I think that set the stage for Last of Us factions in a way. And going from there, that faction set the stage for the live service games in PlayStation. And that's what comes to this point where all of a sudden people are being let go. We got all these quote unquote early retirements and stuff. And it's just happening. And I really do think it came all the way back to that one game, because that was probably supposed to be the Fortnite killer. Everybody thinks they're going to make the Fortnite killer. And probably somebody thought, like, up and down, that the Suicide Squad game was going to be that game. It's so goofy to me. But man, did they moonwalk that one real fast. And I think the rest of it, I don't even know how you can even revamp the Suicide Squad thing. Maybe they're just thinking like, okay, people might forget about it and we can quietly like make it better. Cause at first they said it was only supposed to be pushed back like 8 months. And I think we're close to that being over with, but they're just quiet. Like they're trying to do something over there. And I don't know what it is, but
me neither. I don't know what they can do, honestly.
Yeah, I guess real quick I'll mention this because I think it's kind of funny, because I say all of this about the MCU's connection, and ironically it sounds like they want to bring back the original cast, I guess. And there was like a news that I don't know if it's fully confirmed, but I think they said even Iron Man is agreeing to come back himself. Maybe they threw him some crazy money. But apparently their latest films post Endgame, or at least the latest ones, are just not doing too well. The latest stuff with Disney is just not doing too well. And they're like, let's try to get the full original cast back. So
there's two, and I'll be real quick.
Yeah.
Here's the issues. One, a lot of the new stuff, without going to that like end of the argument, some of it is a little pandery. And it's just like, you just got to make a good story that people care about instead of just like making a checklist. I think that's the issue. And even when you have the stories that can be good, they're still so focused on checking off things.
Yeah.
Or doing this extra. Like Iron Man wasn't trying to be relatable to people in like 2003. You know what I'm saying? It's like for this, it's like, for some reason, it's the idea of I got to see myself in that role or something. But besides that, I think that's the other issue. Loki season 3 or season 2 is not going to bring in the same money as Endgame. Like Iron Man didn't bring in the same money as Endgame, right? It had to build the Endgame.
And that was a 10-year process, and it seems like they're trying, somebody somewhere is being greedy. It's like, you got to build this out a whole another 10 years.
I remember how people were saying it is like, can't compare like Eternals or Shang-Chi to Endgame. You have to compare those to Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, the first Thor movie.
They started, because that's why I think I messaged you when they said they were bringing everybody back. I'm like, I think that's a bad idea. It's just focus on these new people and get people to like them. Get people to like them.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of getting people to like them, the last bit of PlayStation news that I have, it looks like The Last of Us Part 2, the show version, has just started their production, and they're expecting to have the show ready to go in 2025. So yes.
Okay.
Are you excited to watch that?
Sure. I mean, it depends on how much they go. I was about to be like, yeah, man, the first season was great, but it depends on how much of the second game they really...
I think they're going to mirror it almost exactly as they can, where you're still going to see the same stuff that everybody was mad with, but I think they think the process of it, like I think everybody processed it by now, and they're not going to be as angry, basically.
Do you think they'll do stuff where like it'll be a full episode about Ellie and it's just boring? And then
Absolutely.
The next episode
Absolutely.
is Abby and it's the most action-packed, exciting hour.
I think they're gonna do the same thing they did with Bill, but it's gonna be Ellie and Dina, basically, at that one point, because they had Ellie and Dina like with each other for a while, and they're just gonna. I think they're gonna spread out the romance thing because they, like what you said, they got to hit certain checkpoints for certain groups, certain people, and that's gonna overshadow the zombie movie or zombie show. Just like when we were talking about a long time ago, it's like after we were talking about all the little controversial stuff, we were just like, it's a zombie game. Like you have to kind of remind yourself after a while, like it's a zombie game. Like all this stuff happening in a zombie game, post-apocalyptic, 20 plus years later.
I'm sorry, like, okay. It still bothers me that like everyone's favorite episode of season was that one where it's just like, this is a zombie thing. No, but okay, he's their own.
I guess we can move forward. I do want to mention one thing about the game on the screen. This is not Alan Wake 2. It is Alan Wake American Nightmare, which was like a standalone DLC. It was kind of like Alan Wake 1.5 almost, but the game has mixed reviews from the people or Alan Wake 2 has mixed reviews from the people, and there's one thing that stood out to me more than the mixed reviews and the actual quality of the game that I have a bone to pick with Alan Wake, which is I'm being consistent, the same consistency with everything else, but apparently Alan Wake 2 is $50 on PC only, but it was $60 on console. And I don't know for no reason really. Like I remember they were talking about there's no physical version, and because of that we can just like, we don't have to worry about doing a day one patch. It can just be like, here it is. And that was like one of the excuses, but then everybody was advertising it's going to be $50. And I remember hearing that and not even thinking about it. But then if anybody actually goes and look at it under the system side, it's actually $60 on console. And it was like quiet. Nobody really said nothing about it. And I was just like, nobody covered it. Nobody covered the difference. And it reminded me of Callisto and a couple other games. And I'm just like, well, here's another example where the PC side, like I'm not mad at the PC side, but it's just like, how do we have the conclusion that version can be $10 less at launch and the other version can't? Like, I don't understand that. Like, it's another situation with that, but it is what it is. I'm not going to just be like, I'm not going to buy it. I'm still going to buy it and play it. Am I going to wait for a discount? Probably, because I didn't finish Control and the other game. So I want to get through that first and then get to that point. But the thing that people were complaining about with this is that they think it's a little too much of a walking simulator in a way. Like if you look at my footage, I've been shooting people left and right. Apparently in Alan Wake 2, it's a while before you shoot the next ghost or person or whatever.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and so it's set up to be a lot more horror based instead of like action horror. Okay. So just for people, keep that in mind. If you're invested in the story, I mean, the story, nobody complained too much about the story as much, but yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask, I don't know if you looked into this, but did you figure out like a percentage between Saga and Alan Wake?
I didn't. I think it's probably right in the middle though. I didn't want to spoil it for myself. I didn't want to look too far into it. Like, I guess I can mention this too because I was supposed to mention it when Remnant was on the screen. Remnant 2 also has a DLC that's going to be coming.
It does.
Yeah, I didn't really look at the trailer that much. I glanced because I didn't want to spoil anything either.
I did watch the trailer twice, and it looked exciting, but couldn't follow anything.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know what was happening. It looked fun. Like, I think maybe the character that was the highlight we haven't gotten to yet. Yeah. But it could also just be a DLC only character. Like, I don't know the world that they mentioned. I know for sure we haven't gotten.
Yeah,
I know what was happening.
me being a bad podcaster, I remember I was like, okay, God of War is gonna have DLC, and then I'm gonna say, speaking of DLC, and then go to this and just like didn't. And then Remnant 2 was like literally the very next like footage, and like I'm just not good, man. I fell off, man. I fell off. That's okay. But
It happened. Well, I got a sort of a DLC to talk about then.
well, I just want to mention one more. So it's not just Remnant 2. Like Remnant 2 announced their DLC, but Dead Island 2's DLC just came out this week.
Oh shoot!
So yeah, they both have DLC. Dead Island's another series I'm gonna get into at some point. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that, and I think you're gonna mention the other game, Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight, yeah. Naughty Bear's in it finally.
Awesome.
So this isn't necessarily DLC. It's a
Okay.
in-game costume. One of their characters, the Trapper, like the
Okay.
character of Dead by Daylight. So for those that are old enough to remember, Naughty Bear was an old PS3, Xbox 360 game
Yeah.
where you play as a stuffed animal bear who didn't get invited to another bear's birthday party, so he goes on an unaliving spree.
Oh gosh.
And the only thing I wish is that for Dead by Daylight, that all the people were filled with stuffing instead, because that was the whole part of the gimmick in this game is really stuff, but like stuffing coming out of bears, like stuffed animal bears.
Yeah.
So I do wish for that. Other than that, I'm excited to get it. They had for the trailer the narrator from the old Naughty Bear game. Like it just all looked. I'm really excited to play.
That's what's up. That's what's up. It's still going strong. Would you consider is that considered live service to you? Would you think that's a live service?
That's a live service game. Because they have a battle pass thing that you can get or that you can pay for if you want. But you can also, if you play consistently, you can unlock the battle pass.
So this is live service done right, in your opinion.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah. Yep.
And it seemed
constant updates, constant characters.
Yeah, I think everybody's aiming for Fortnite, but I think they should make sure that before they aim for Fortnite, that they at least have Dead by Daylight's content, basically, before they can.
I agree.
I think too. I think with live service games, you also kind of have to get at least a year's worth of content ready before you get going. You can't be like, oh, we're trying to do it as we go, because you're gonna run into like the Halo situation, which we're gonna get to like Xbox stuff after like my quote unquote break. And I guess I can do that right now. So my unofficial podcast sponsor, where we talk about how people can get free games, people can get a profile on Epic Games is what we're talking about, and basically go on there and download the game that they have for the week. It looks like this week it's only one game, and then the next week it will be just one game. So they went from 2 games a week to 1, but you're still getting stuff for free. One of the games is going to be Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion. I remember that, like hearing that last week, it was like, what? But yeah, so that's available from now until November 9th, where you can claim it for free. Remember, you don't need a credit card or a method of payment set up. You just simply need to create a profile, and then you can play these games once you've claimed them on the profile. Once you log in, you can play it on your PC. If you don't have a PC yet, you can play it once you get it. I always recommend the ROG Ally, because you can just log right in and it's just there. That's a great starter PC where you're transitioning from the console space in a way, and it's not too costly if it's your first PC, right? Yeah, so that's the game for now to November 9th. The next one is called Golden Light. That is going to be from November 9th to the 16th. Yeah, and those are 2 games that we know of so far. Somewhere in the week, you'll be able to see I think once we get to the ninth, then you'll be able to see the next week if you like catching up with this before coming here. But yeah, speaking of other announcements though, I think I can just kind of put that with this, because with Epic Games, I want to start to like really like rotating some of those games into the backlog or whatever. And it doesn't really have to be its own segment, but I did wanted to mention two of the games that I've started. Actually three. I didn't write the third one down. I'm actually going to drop completely and then play them later on the Epic profile. So one of the games was A Plague's Tale, the first A Plague's Tale. The other one was Mortal Shell, and then Man Eater, right? The reason why I want to stop them is because I was going through the games that I had basically through PS Plus, and then the games that I had under Epic. And I was like, okay, I got a bunch of PS Plus games that I have to like get through before it expires, if I let it expire. But there's a lot of them that were cross saved from Epic. Like a lot of people, if you're a PlayStation Plus person, you might want to definitely consider getting this profile, because like you'll see a lot of games over a period of time show up here and you didn't even pay for the service. You know what I'm saying? And three of the games that I started was A Plague's Tale, Mortal Shell, and Man Eater. Man Eater I actually bought, but they also gave the PS5 version away under PlayStation Plus at one point. And I think that was one of the times I think you complained, like, didn't you buy it right before and then they gave that one away?
For which game?
Man Eater, the shark game.
Yep. Not just Man Eater. It started with Man Eater, and then for the following 6 months, 6 out of the 9 games that I purchased for Black Friday were given away for PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, one of the games, fan of the game, friend of the channel in a way, Remnant of the Ashes, if I remember correctly. Because that was a Black Friday thing that we grabbed.
Remnant from the Ashes, Man Eater.
Yeah. Remnant from the Ashes was also an Epic game at one point. I think I have that under Epic. But yeah, so my backlog that involves a lot of PlayStation Plus stuff, it gives me some breathing room to where I don't have to like try it right away. So there is one game I do want to announce that's going to be very good footage for the podcast going forward. So I am like dropping Mortal Shell in the meantime, but I never bought Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a very high profile game. According to the Soul community, they rank that one very high. And the only way I own...
do have that one. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, that one is under PS Plus for me, and I'm going to play that right away. I'm going to play that as soon as we're done with Remnant 2. I'm going to jump right into it. Just to get that one out of the way. And that would be one of my first high profile Souls games, outside of like all the other Souls games I've been playing were like high profile from the past, but they weren't like the whole point of Lies of P, quite literally, is Bloodborne. Really, like that's his only hype, is that it reminds people of Bloodborne. And it's like literally might end up in one of the Game of the Year categories because of that, right? So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I dropped a couple games because of that. But that gives you the value of, you know, Epic Games with their free stuff, you know, because if you're paying a lot of money in the PS Plus and then they raise the price on you, and you actually pull up what's under your profile there and under your profile on Epic, and you start to see some of these bigger games are in both category, and one of them wants to charge you like 80 or more, and the other one is charging you 0 or nothing. Right? It's like, wait a minute here. So yeah, that's just something I just want to mention. One more quick thing before we go into like one of our last topics. We completely missed this, and I actually watched this after the fact. there was an indie horror showcase that happened last month that we just missed altogether, and that's probably my fault because I usually stay on top of these things. But basically, it was just a showcase of a lot of indie games that were all horror, and it was just a ton of them. It was just back to back, and I don't think I've gotten through all of them yet, but I was just sitting at work like going through, and a lot of it, if you're a horror fan, like you would be in horror heaven basically. No disrespect, I know that might sound blasphemous. No disrespect, but if you're not really into the jump scare stuff, maybe this wasn't for you. But I will say, I did pick out 2 or 3 games that I am going to feature in an upcoming video. I am going to bring back some of the videos that I've done in the past where I just show off like a whole bunch of stuff that I put on my wish list that I plan on buying. And a lot of those early ones I plan on buying this Black Friday under PC, basically, because they're like dirt cheap. These are some really cool innovative games, and like they were already cheap, but now they're like, some of those sales are already starting to show. Some of those games that I had were like under $10, so I'm gonna like really stack them. But for anybody out there that missed it, just I believe it was streamed under IGN. Just Google the Indie Horror Showcase, and then you'll see a slew of just trailers from so many different people to pick out. And they'll all be under PC first, and then a few of them have like PC and Switch only, and then some of them are like fully multi-plat. But a lot of indie games I've noticed like either as PC and Switch or fully multi-plat, but it's never like any exclusivity anywhere. So you should be able to find it in a lot of different places. So that's the Indie Horror Showcase for 2023 under IGN. You should see it. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff there. So I just wanted to mention that. Maybe you could tell us about this game real quick. Speaking of Nintendo, games going under Nintendo and nowhere else. What happened with that game? We could wrap that into this.
Yeah. There was a game that released called Need for Spirit Drink and Drive Simulator.
Okay.
So one, don't do this. But basically, the idea was supposed to be you're an adult beverage delivery driver who's also, I guess, addicted to it, and you have to like drive. The issue was it released on the Nintendo Store for ages 3 and up. And
oh my gosh!
when it got seen, Nintendo took it off and was like, "Nah, fix the rating." So it's back, and it now has a T for Teen rating because the only problem with it is the use of alcohol. But and currently, if you want to get it on Nintendo, it currently costs $1.99. It's on sale for 71% off. It's usually $6.99. But it's a driving game where you drive drunk.
Okay. All right. Well.
But yeah, it was just, Nintendo removed the game and they're like, you gotta fix the rating because they're just like 3 and up, and then it was like, dude.
It's interesting that Nintendo will allow like other people to put some of these obscure type games on their platform, but then they themselves won't do a first party like that. You know, they kind of just they stick away from that. They stick mainly with like the kiddie looking stuff overall. It's interesting. But yeah. All right. Well, we can move on to one of our last big segments. We can talk about Xbox real quick. I don't know. It's not really a big segment, but there's a lot of stuff going on with Xbox. Some good, some bad, I guess. So while PlayStation is over here firing a bunch of people, apparently, I could just mention this first because I didn't think this was a big deal. Some people was acting like this was a big deal. That like certain people leveled up, basically. But it was the names that we've been hearing this whole time. So now Sarah Bond, shout out to Sarah Bond. Shout out to you. She is the president of Xbox. Matt Booty is the president of games over at Xbox. I didn't mean to say it. I didn't mean to laugh. Phil Spencer is now CEO of Microsoft Studios. So it's a key difference. He's not CEO of Microsoft. He's CEO of Microsoft Studios. Okay. And I think The difference here is now that with Activision also comes a whole bunch of stuff that won't hit Xbox that's mainly mobile, and they put Phil Spencer in charge of both. And then with Sarah Vaughn, she's strictly Xbox, if that makes sense to anybody. She got, like, I think his old title or something. I don't know, because these names have been the names this whole time. So to me, I was just like, okay, they just kind of already was operating this way anyway, because these are the names we've heard. I think the only other couple names, I think it's Pete Hines, who just left or something. I don't know. But these names are like the names, I guess. So, yeah. So, I don't know.
Like a small shuffle of responsibility, or like if you work there, it's like this is who you report to now.
Yeah. Because I think even though Activision, like Billy or Bobby Kotick was the guy everybody hated, right? He is still going to be on his way out by the end of the year, but he's helping with the transition. But basically, they're not going to let Activision work on their own. They're still going to have to report to them. Where I think people was more criticizing the Bethesda wing because Todd Howard was still in charge of that. Everybody still reports to him, and then he like gives information back to Phil Spencer and stuff later. And you'll see, like, with some of those shows, it will say it's the Xbox and Bethesda show. And it was like, but Xbox owns them, but they make it look like it's a partnership. So that kind of came under scrutiny in the past a little bit. And it looks like with Activision, it's not going to be that same kind of thing. It's like, no, you are reporting to Sarah Bond. So however that works, we'll see in the future. But in the here and now, it looks like Call of Duty did not release as well as people would have wanted. Apparently, it looks like there's some issues going on with Call of Duty. People are a little upset with the quality of it. I guess they're upset with the campaign. Apparently, you kind of have to have Modern Warfare 2 as well in order to play 3. Is something they probably got to fix. One of the biggest things that stood out to me about this one is the game is like 213 gigs, I believe. This is as of right now, so not including any additional patches. And we know Call of Duty is known for having randomly like 50 gig patch updates. So it's quite literally the Series X, not XS, the little white one. It's possible that it might not be able to hold it like as far as size at some point.
No.
It's possible. If Call of Duty stays going in this direction, like a future Call of Duty might be even bigger. I think Call of Duty, even though we know there's a huge base of people who only play Call of Duty, it looks like quite literally they might only be able to play Call of Duty, depending on their system, which is kind of funny in itself. But Call of Duty is still probably going to print money. Because I remember Cold War. Cold War wasn't as bad received as this one, but I remember people were kind of upset with it and it got like a lower score. This one apparently is like low. Like it looked like a lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah, I even saw IGN gave it a 4. Like it just popped up. I don't usually pay attention to IGN like that. But like I was scrolling through Twitter and it popped up. I was like, "Yo, 4!"
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
I don't know. So yeah, this is the game that we had to fight over for like a year, though. You know, but eventually it probably
all of that pressure over this game for it to just be like, not really good.
Yeah, and because it was such a constant back and forth over this thing, and all these like political people, you know, over this one game had something to say, and all these court cases and all the stuff that came out because of the court cases and all information that was not supposed to be out there yet that could have been really nice surprises just for the game to come out and not really being received too well. I mean, I know with the audience in itself, some of them might not even know about the score. They're just gonna buy it, and this will be the only game they buy into the next one. So I don't think those people are really going to be affected. Maybe everybody else is probably rolling their eyes at this. It kind of seems silly to me that after all this time we had this tug of war, and then this one comes out and it's in this state. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a lot more upset with the idea of it still being like a large gig size amount. Like they can't really, it doesn't seem like it's getting smaller. That I think that's like one of those bigger bases before you even get to like DLC stuff, and if they decide to partner with Attack on Titan again or something silly like that, like it's like or Nicki Minaj, maybe next time it'll be Ice Spice. You think it's gonna be Ice Spice this year? They'll put Ice Spice in the game, and that's gonna be another 50 gigs or something, because it's just like, yo, 213 is a lot. For any system, that's a lot.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy.
It's just crazy. It's not even just a lot. It's too much. Like you can make it less than that, right? Like back in the old, our days. Like remember, like looking at a movie when it was like 2 gigs, and everybody's like, "Bro, like shrink this down."
Yeah.
Like so 213. That is.
But even with like if you were somebody who played on PC or something, you built the PC a certain way, you got this list of a whole bunch of emulation going on, maybe all these games from yesteryear, and then Call of Duty is like taking up maybe 25% of like your main hard drive. And it can't be moved because you still got to keep it on a hard drive where it's like a certain speed, so it has to be on the SSD. Right, and so it's like it's really taking up space, because at the same time, like another game like Elder Scrolls 6 in a couple years or something, maybe that one might be big, and it's like you will probably have that and Call of Duty on your hard drive, and then barely nothing else, if that, right? Or it's like one or the other, and then you might be in a situation. If I download it, like I quite literally can't download this until my internet situation changes. If I download, it will be a field day. Yep. Yeah, it'll be a field day. The patch update will be a field day, which is a whole nother story that I'm gonna figure out at some point. But yeah. I'm the most upset about that because it just kind of seems like it's never going to get smaller, and it's like, part of it is because of their microtransactions too, and it's like that's never going to stop with the type of money and headache that we had to go through for the Activision deal. That's never going to stop, but you got to pay for it. Like imagine having to pay in gig space on your system for something, and you don't have access to it in game until you pay money, right? But you downloaded it on your system though. It's not like it's a download later. It's like it gets unlocked once you've like paid the money, but it's still on your system taking up space the entire time. Like that's crazy to me.
Gaming fun.
That's crazy to me. But yeah, that happened. Now the other news that I think is probably a little bit bigger in a way, that happened with Xbox. Apparently Microsoft decided to put the how am I gonna say this, they decided to unplug the controller in a way. They snatched the controller out. I'm trying to be witty. I'm not witty. I'm a bad YouTuber. They snatched the cord out, man. You know how like back in the day, like somebody mad because you keep playing the game, they just snatched the controller out. Yep. They snatched your unofficial controller out of the system. Basically, they took it out of there. They said if you got something that does not have the print on there that says designed by Xbox, it is not going to work. Apparently at this upcoming November 12th, so not too far away.
They banned third party accessories. So now if you use a third party accessory, you'll get an error code that says If you get this error code, this means that one of your accessories you're trying to connect with was not manufactured by Microsoft or another licensed Xbox hardware partner.
Yeah.
So if this happens, you have, I think it says 2 months, to like pretty much get something else. Like, so they're not gonna just be like, as of now, it's not gonna be like, doesn't work. Like if you try and plug it in now, it's gonna keep track of it and be like, all right, this is, stop working in 2 months. But then part of their like thing online, or sorry, not 2 months, 2 weeks. If you get the code, you'll have 2 weeks to use the accessory, after which time it'll then be blocked from use with the console. At that time, you'll receive the different error code with like one number up, and we encourage you to contact the store or manufacturer where you obtain the accessory to get help with returning it. So they're like, it ain't gonna work, and if you want your money back, contact. Now I heard they're guising this as like anti-cheat stuff.
Yes.
But other people are seeing it as, no, but you just want us to have to pay for the expensive Xbox version of things. But because they said that some of the software doesn't look like it does actually block some of the more popular cheat stuff, because the cheat thing that people would use tricks it into thinking it's an Xbox controller anyways.
Yeah.
The main one, I think what it does is it allows you to plug up a keyboard.
Yeah.
To think it's an Xbox controller, so it's almost like the keyboard automatically has aim assist, because controller games have aim assist, and apparently also, even though it's supposed to be like cross-plat, apparently a lot of these games try to keep keyboard players with keyboard players.
Yeah, I think the Series X, you can hook up a mouse and keyboard to the Series X by default, or at least you could.
But then it tries to keep you with other keyboard.
Yeah.
However, if you use this one little item thing, it makes you think you're on a controller where you're on a keyboard, and then you have an advantage because it's just point and click as opposed to having to use analog sticks. So they're trying to say it's blocking that, but I don't know. It does look like it's just like buy our product instead.
I just want to say real quick, I got to point out my bad YouTuber ways. I got Iron Man on the screen, and we've been done talking about Iron Man's connection to everything. I just set up everything wrong, man. I set it up all out of order. It's all out of order. This was supposed to be, the footage was supposed to be like either like way before, or I was supposed to talk about it way before. It happens, man. At least it's there. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying to make a comeback. It's little by little, man. I'm not that good. But anyways, I know somebody, personal friend of mine behind the scenes, that was getting ready. He has a Series S. He was in the process of buying a fight stick that I sent it to him, like an Amazon link, right? And he was going to buy it, but now he's hesitant on it because this came out like the day after. Like he almost bought it but didn't. And then this came out the day after, so he's like, he don't know if he's going to get it. It was actually one that I was going to get as well. But I'm fully multi-plat. I have all the other systems. It was a fight stick that actually works on all the other stuff. So I still might end up getting it anyway. For anybody who has like a PC or multiple systems or stuff, don't throw your stuff away if you really liked it. I do think it's going to hurt like the bigger like developers. Like the first one that came to mind was Scuff, but I think Scuff does a lot of their controllers mainly for PlayStation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe it was a push for people to get more elite controllers if they wanted like back pedals and stuff. The Power A controller, there's a Power A controller that was like a wired version of the Elite that they sold for $80. Power A was officially licensed, so that should be, anybody who bought that, they should be fine. I have a Turtle Beach headset. My Turtle Beach headset had the stamp on it that said it was officially licensed. So my Turtle headset Beach. Yeah, like I don't know how far this goes. I do think it does Steam like go back to just trying to stop cheating, but I don't know how many people bought. Like I know those controllers back in the day used to really like get you through certain parts of certain games. Like if you bought a controller, the main thing that I can remember was the turbo button, which allowed you to like spam a certain button, and you could literally put the controller down, and the game thinks you're like constantly tapping at the fastest speed, but you're not. And it was like that was a thing for certain games. Maybe Xbox is like not wanting that on their platform, along with some other stuff, but it does seem weird. I think just looking at it from the grand scale, I think Xbox really needs to lighten up on some of those things, especially when they tried to block emulation. I thought that was like a major, like I understood on the business side that they want you to just buy certain things and stuff, but at the same time, and they're trying to rub shoulders with Nintendo because they want to buy them too. But at the same time, it's like that was a big push for the Series S initially. It was known as like the like greatest emulation device overall at one point. It was like people buying it just to do emulation and do the little developer side too. And then it was just like no more emulation. It was like, dude, like what are you doing? And now they're doing this, which would take out the controllers that people probably would use with emulation, because technically there were certain things that you could hook up to it. The third party GameCube controllers, anybody who was doing GameCube emulation, they stopped you pretty much completely from doing GameCube emulation on the Series S. I just feel like it's a little silly for them to do that, seeing that they do still have a very sizable player base that is on PC, and you literally have no authority to stop people from doing what they're doing on their PC. So you might as well allow the Series X and Series S users to do emulation and use those controllers as well. I think it's still going to affect a few people, but I think the Switch is like, I'm really glad that the Switch didn't do this, because I have like a couple controllers. Well, I think mine are still licensed as well, but I know there's a little attachment that you can add onto the Switch when docked, and you basically, I think it's by Bluetooth, but your Xbox controllers can double as Switch Pro controllers, because the button layouts and everything is like practically the same. And I think it was on like two buttons, like the A and B are like switched around, and like X and Y I think are switched, something like that, right? Other than that, but the layout, the way you can feel the controller and stuff, is like the same. And so I bought this third party device that was like $10 or something, that you plug in, and it works when it's docked or when you're using a external controller, but it tricks the Switch into thinking that, you know, your Xbox controller is a Pro controller, and Nintendo has never done anything to stop it, right? And so I can only imagine that, you know, if you have those type of controllers, I can vouch you can use those on the Switch at the very least. If you are a Switch user, and then you can still obviously use those on PC, so they're not junk. But I'm trying to figure out what's the controller that people will be using, because I think they did the Duke controller, which was like the big bulky Xbox original controller. That was also licensed. The Power A stuff is licensed. A lot of people, they go through the design lab and to do like all those funky different, like all the different colors and stuff, they go through them anyway. And then you have your group of people who's doing the Elite controller, something that I was looking to it myself, because the core version was like showing on sale under $100. It was the all red one, but I'm still kind of holding out that they give me a green one. And I don't want the Halo edition, I just want a green one. But yeah, it's still bad. I think they're gonna work on that going forward. As of right now, though, your controllers aren't junk. Like, I don't want anybody to think that it's junk. Like, you can still use them in other platforms and stuff. But I I kind of feel bad for the person who probably got a controller custom made. Because there's somebody, because people get them custom made ones to like have certain like RGB lights and stuff all in it, and
a different aesthetic look.
Yeah, some of those, like if they did something to mess with the internal, like the programming of it, it could be recognized as a third party and just be like, nope. It is gonna hurt some mom and pop stores. I know that because mom and pop stores sell a lot of that stuff, mainly for emulation though, and like emulation on PC. But fortunately, I think this is gonna hurt only a very, very small group of people. I don't think it's gonna be as big. It seems like it is, but at the same time, the controller can still be used other places, So I don't.
The only
I don't
other
think
people I can think it would hurt is people who just ain't got money like that, right? Like people.
Yeah.
Like you bought the system, you spent all your money on the system, on the game, on Game Pass, and then you had to go buy one of those like Amazon $12 controllers, right?
Yeah, like I don't think too many people, because this is for everybody who didn't go for the Elite. Typically, if you're going to be on Xbox heavily, then you're going to do one of the two things. You're either going to go for the Elite controller, or you were going to go under Design Lab and just get a bunch of controllers with a bunch of different colors and stuff, right? It's not really known for people to go outside of that. If they went for the wired ones, you might have gone to Power A because those are in the retail stores.
But I also think about like the times when I was a kid and like I remember getting like wireless. I think they were Mad Cat and everything, but like I don't know. I just sometimes some of the stuff just seems anti. Yeah,
somebody gonna take a hit, and it's gonna be really random too, because somebody who is going for that type of controller probably doesn't follow the news behind the systems and stuff on a day-to-day basis. They just wanted something to work at a very, very small budget. Because if it was a big budget, if it was a big budget, you would go for the Elite controller if you had the money. Like I don't see anybody going past. This is for the people who couldn't afford the $50 controller, right? You couldn't afford the wireless one. I mean. So, yeah, that kind of sucks. The only third-party controllers that I had was those Xbox-style controllers on PlayStation. You remember me buying that a while back? So if PlayStation did it, all of a sudden that controller wouldn't work for me. But it would have been workable on PC. It just would have been like those controllers just would have like literally just be a PC controller at that point. It'd almost be like Google Stadia, because like remember Stadia stopped. If you still had the hardware, you could still use it as a PC side. But I think some of their extra features are just now starting to be turned off as well. So it's not a full brick. You can still use his basic controllers, but some of his extra Google Stadia stuff is like, I think it's officially done now. We just didn't report it. But yeah, that's probably some bad news. I think that they'll work with it because Xbox has done like some turnarounds, like in the past, like when they had like tried to increase their price of their service. They like turned around it like almost immediately. And there's another piece of news that's bad on Xbox that they did turn around immediately, because apparently they attempted to raise the price of the Xbox Series S, the little white one, in Brazil, I believe. And it lasted for about 24 hours or 48 hours or something. Then they brought it back down, but it was kind of silly. It was about to be like $50 cheaper than the Series S or Series X. Yeah, they had raised it a bit over there. I don't know what was going on, but it basically got moonwalked because people was like, "What are you doing? You lost your mind." And then that was the end of it. So, yeah, the companies are not all good. Some of them they make some bad decisions every now and then. Even though I criticize Nintendo, I probably got to give them a little bit of props, because it seems like they're a little bit more steady with what they're doing. Like they had some moments, like I do think that their N64 and Sega Genesis wireless controllers was probably a little too high, but at the same time, like they're just kind of just pumping out their games, feeding their audience. The next big one, I guess, is the Mario RPG game coming out in a week and a half. I plan on getting it not right away though. I'm gonna get it sometime next year using the like GameStop discount. I'm gonna use this month's discount on a big Black Friday thing. So of all the other games, and I'll come back to that later. But yeah,
speaking of companies,
yeah,
not making smart decisions. Your favorite company is making Meta.
Go ahead, say them.
Yeah.
Blasphemous.
So Meta
system.
decided to start making subscription tiers in Europe for ad-free tiers. So starting in Europe, of course, it'll eventually get here. But it's like you could pay, like laptop, it's like $9.99. But if you want it off of your phone, it's $12.99 because you have to pay for like iOS as well charges or something like that. But
that's crazy.
You pay that a month, and then for initially it'll tie into all accounts under yours.
Mm-hmm.
But starting March 1st, 2024, instead for every additional account you have to pay an extra $6. So if you have like multiple Facebook accounts, you have to pay your $10 or $12 plus an extra $6 or $8 between laptop or phone to not have ads.
That's goofy.
No, I was talking about it with somebody, and they were like, "Well, I already get ads. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like, I just won't pay." And I was like, once you start making a subscription tier about ads, you can make the ad tiers ridiculous. Right?
Yeah.
Like before, it's just everybody got ads and you just don't want to drive people away. But now that there's a subscription tier, now it's like every time you're scrolling on Instagram, you're going to see image, ad. Or if you watch a video halfway through somebody's Instagram reel, here's an unskippable 45-second ad that you have to watch to finish the reel. And if you want to see these ads, pay the subscription fee, right? You can start doing that now when you start making subscription tiers. So It's like, if that ends up tying over here, I'm off of social media. Like, that's just how that goes.
I think
I'm not paying for social media. It's crazy.
Elon Musk was hinting at something similar to this too.
He was trying to do, but his was like $1 or something like that per month, where Facebook's trying to do $10 a month. Sorry, not Facebook, Meta, because it includes Instagram as well.
What's really crazy is I'm not that invested in, like, I go in there and post jokes and stuff, but like I remember there was this one time, it actually was pushing me off the platform period, because there was this one time where it looked like I was starting off just seeing people I knew, and then all of a sudden it went to all of their like funky videos where they're doing something crazy and they expect you to just keep watching, and it's just like it usually be like somebody cooking something really, really outrageous or horribly or something stupid like that.
But it's also people I don't know or don't follow. Like,
and it's like it got to the point where it was just starting to show their stuff, and I couldn't even see the next person that I knew. And I was just like, why am I even looking at this? That was just my thought process. It really pushes me to YouTube and Twitch more, because if I needed to spend more time on anything, I could just watch one of them play their game, or just watch a bunch of videos over there about other niches too, right? Yep. But it was just like when it came down to Meta, I was just like, well, like the people don't know my history with them, right? But I would just say, like, it ain't been that good. And so I had to like really try to find a reason to just watch, period. There's really not that much of a reason or to go on there. If you're literally going to stop me from seeing the people, like, I have to legitimately try to remember whatever their name is, and they always like alternate their names and stuff as well, because they don't want people seeing their real names no more, which is understandable. I would know people by face more now because their names are all funky. And it's like, if I can't really even see them unless I tried to search them, and then their names are different, so I don't even know their names on there anymore. It's like, well, what am I doing on the platform? It's like, I don't even. It's like I might as well just go somewhere else. And so that pushes me more towards YouTube, more towards Twitch for now. But it reminds me of the acquisition thing with Xbox when I was saying, like, I don't care how much you cannibalize each other, as long as when the product comes out, the next piece of the product that comes out, I still pay the same thing I've been paying this whole time. That's what I've always said. But now that time is going by, everybody's trying to tell me, well, now I got to pay more for certain things. And it's like, well, y'all didn't have to do that. With all the stuff that you did, y'all didn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. You know, I still want to pay. Like, it's cool to see rosters like line up and you got people almost like a Raw and SmackDown thing. That's kind of how I look at it now. It's almost like a Raw and SmackDown thing. It's like, I would like to go and watch Raw the same way I would watch SmackDown, but I don't want you to tell me all of a sudden, well, it's going to cost me 50 cents or $1 to watch this episode for this day or something like that. And like the equivalent in gaming is like, all of a sudden now the gaming's costing more, service or the game itself. And then meta and it's like, what are you paying for? Because you're going to see a bunch of goofy stuff. It's like, if are you paying to see memes? You go on there to escape from reality. That's what it used to be. And now they've infiltrated it, right? And so now there is no escape. It's even in the games now. There is no escape. But now you tell me to pay for that? Like, I gotta pay for that? No. So I would advise all the people, go touch grass like I did this past summer. It would be awesome. Yeah, and stay off of like social media or whatever. Because you're not even seeing like the stuff you want to see. Like not to be like I want to see memes and or thirst traps. I ain't trying to see nothing else. Literally nothing else. Nothing else. Unless I am a part of a certain group. Like I'm a part of certain wrestling groups, so I see people going there back and forth for wrestling, back and forth for Power Rangers, because those are fandoms that I like. But like, I don't know if you noticed this, but for me, like when I can't even see the groups that I've like subscribed to or like followed or however that works. I don't see their content as much as I see the sponsored ad stuff content. Yep. And it's like, well, where's the people who just talk amongst like the groups and stuff? And they'll have the nerve to tell you like, how do you want to see your ads or something? Like they'll have that on there. Like, what ads would you like? I'm like, none. I don't want to see none. Like, what are you talking about? I don't want to see any of it.
That is the worst thing when I'm trying to watch something, even on like Hulu, right?
Yeah.
I have the one with ads, and it'll be like, pick one of these 3 ads. So I got 30 seconds to pick one of the ads for it to play for another 90 seconds. And I'm like, can you just play one? Like, I don't care. I walked away from the controller because you decided to play an ad. I walked away to go do something, and now it's just pure silence. You didn't just play an ad. Like, I don't care about any of these.
I think I forgot to mention something.
The Clorox ads. Like, I don't care.
This might go into this or should have went to the other thing. Let me tell you about how bad of a YouTuber I am. So apparently also with Modern Warfare 3, that game has an ad. Like when you first load it up, it loads an Xbox ad or something. It was like a full ad or something.
Oh.
It might be one of the first games to have ads like incorporated in the game. So I think it's supposed to shuffle around every so often. So it's possible you might end up getting like patch updates where you literally got to download the update. And the update might be so they can start showing you the new ads. And like I said before, it's probably still costing you your bandwidth if you're one of those people like me, unfortunately, where you've got a limit. It's like you quite literally is paying for the ads in a way, right? So I don't know. I didn't see the IGN review, but I'm pretty sure that probably counted for their 4 out of 10. And other places probably as well. But yeah, this is one of the first games to have ads in the game. So
I should also mention, me being a bad reporter, speaking of not necessarily an ad, but placement.
Yeah.
From Spiderman 2, there's been an uproar because of one of the Miles Morales suits is basically a product placement for Adidas.
I think I see something like that.
Yeah, the issue was it was like they had a lot of parodies of stuff throughout the city, but like apparently like very clear like Adidas. Like Adidas was definitely a sponsor in this game, and it was to tie in. One of his like I don't mind the costume that much. One of the style choices is just something I've never liked in a costume.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it that much. However, he's also just wearing a pair of Adidas, like part of the costume basically, and now you can buy those Adidas. And people are upset. Now, part of me is like, it's something Miles would probably do.
Yeah.
But also, it's like, yeah, no, this is very...
They cut you out, sir. You went completely blank.
It's very clear product placement. Like, with this Adidas thing. So it's just between that and then now Call of Duty, and you gotta watch an ad in order to play. I don't like where things are headed.
Yeah, it's really bad to me. And the one thing that's funny, because I said this was supposed to be only an hour, we somehow managed to go long again. But I think this probably should be said, like, because I said it earlier, and I kind of think we can say it again. Like, the person who is the consumer was not born yesterday, right? They treat you like you were born yesterday, but expect you to be smart enough to just give you their money, give your money to them, basically. And it's like, if we are at an age where we can recognize a commercial, identify it as a commercial, recognize an ad, identify it as an ad, then it doesn't work anymore. It like literally doesn't work anymore. If we're at the point where we have to argue about whether we should see it or not, it doesn't work anymore. Because when I was a kid, it just came on. You know, it just came on, and it was just on for a second, and that was it. And then it went back off, and it was back to the TV show. But we weren't at the level where we could really, really like identify it, dissect it, and then still say we don't want the product. There was a point in my life where I would watch a rap video, right? And the rap video, the person was in the video and all these things was going on in the video. And we believed 100% when you were a kid that was their lifestyle, right? And then you fast forward to now, and it was like, it went from that to literally the radio show thing that everybody was watching, Charlemagne and I forgot the name of it, Power 105, right? The Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. The whole point of the Breakfast Club was to be the behind the scenes of the rap lifestyle. So it's like, if you're watching that, there literally is no reason for you to actually even do the music video. Like, they'll do it, but it's like, there's no reason for you to believe it. Because in the interviews and stuff, they used to talk about, yeah, I got to go shoot this video, then I got to go shoot that video. And it's like, that sounds like work. It doesn't sound like it's your lifestyle. Yeah. So like, quite literally, you lying right in front of me, right? It's like, well, where am I going with this? Well, like, literally, if you see the behind the scenes there and you can identify it and you think that it's not really real, they're like, that mentality like transfers back into the ads. It's like, well, if you've got to like try to get me to watch it, then the whole concept is not going to work. Like, by default is brainwashing, right? But if you're woke to it, then now you're trying to convince me to be brainwashed. It's like, how does that sound, right? It's like, I'm not going to be brainwashed into buying the product. It's like, you got to watch this. It's like, what is watching it going to do? You know what I'm saying? I remember one of the most ridiculous ads, I'm going to try to keep this short, was on Twitch. Like, I think I talked to you about this before, but basically, you watch Twitch to watch somebody play a video game in their room, or maybe somebody half naked just sitting there on a tub, right? How does that translate to you buying a Nissan car? Like they will play the ad for you to like to get you to want to purchase a Nissan car, and it's like, what kid watching Twitch? Or like there's this dude on there named Kai who's got like the biggest following ever. It's all kids, right? and like I think he's like pretending to be in a prison cell for a week right now, for what I'll see, because they keep suggesting it to me, and I was seeing, I'm like, is he really in there with his friends? But it's like anybody watching that, and then all of a sudden you just throw a Nissan car ad. It's like, how does that brainwash me into buying the car? Because first of all, where do I get the money for a Nissan car? Somebody who frequently watches Twitch for 10 hours or something, like, right? Like, for whoever's on that stream, they're on the streams for like 5, 6, 7 hours. I still don't understand it. I want to stream at some point. I can tell you right now, it ain't gonna be nowhere near no 5, 7 hours. I got stuff to do. I got money to make. That ain't about to happen. But if I'm streaming and all of a sudden you just send me, or the people watching me get an ad, and the ad is like, go buy this car. I'm like, first of all, homie, this is $40,000 car, $30,000 car. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no. If you do an ad to try to tell me to buy a certain drink or something, I'm probably going to go to my nearest store and buy the equivalent, but I'm not going to buy your product. Like, I'm going to buy whatever is there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, if you're trying to give me red pop, I'm going to get the nearest red pop. I'm not even going to get the brand name. I'm going to go for the cheapest one there. I'm going to go for the store brand model. That's just how I'm wired. It's like, who is the ad for it in 2023 to 2024 if you're hip to it? Like, how do you convince somebody? This is supposed to be a gaming podcast, right? We talking stuff that we normally talk off the podcast. I'm so sorry, people. I got one more topic for you. This is funny, though. Are we going to go 2 hours? Hopefully not. But, like, who is the ad for if you're hip to what the ad is, like, what it's meant for? You know? That's my whole thing. Like, if I was to go and turn every ad blocker off, go to a random website, and then 50 things just shoot at me, including the one where it's like, security alert, give us your credit card or your computer's going to be seized in 20 seconds or some stupid like that. Like, these are the ads that was there. And I'm like, okay, I could bypass that. And then you're trying to tell me in real time that I should feel bad for certain ad blockers and stuff that stopped that. YouTube was trying to crack down on it on theirs, but like, if you just go to their website and they start showing the same stuff over and over, it's not going to take me to the movies. Like, for whatever the movie was, it's not. Maybe I'll torrent it, because that's the first thought process that comes to my head, is write it down to torrent later. That's the first process that comes to my head. I'm gonna be honest. It never made me want to just like who is this ad for? You're never going to like get people to be brainwashed. It's just not working no more. We're too hip to everything. Everybody is first of all, how do you brainwash somebody who uses the term woke? How? You can't no more. That's the whole point, is to be woke from it. It's a redundant thing. They got to figure out another way to do it. I think so nobody knows this but you. I used to, that's best. I used to download and put together wrestling videos, right? Like, in between, I used to also download fan clips from YouTube that were promos and stuff to what was going to happen in the next few weeks. You remember that? That was relevant to the wrestling, to the UFC, Bellator, boxing, whatever it was relevant to it. The ads that they're trying to show is not even relevant. Like, I could see if it was pure game trailers. If you're going to do gaming, if you're going to do ads in gaming or anything, like, it has to be pure game trailers. It cannot be McDonald's. Who are you advertising for McDonald's in 2023 at this point? Really? Like, it can't be that.
The person wants McDonald's, they'll just get McDonald's. Like,
it's dumb. Like, it can't be Adidas. Like, it just, like, that's not gonna make me buy an Adidas. Like, I'm just gonna play the game. You know what I'm saying? It's silly. The Power Ranger, I'm a huge Power Ranger fans. Did any of y'all buy Krispy Kreme stock? let's be honest here. Who bought Krispy Kreme anything after watching Power Rangers movie in 2017? Nope. Nobody. Nobody did it. Who showed up and went to any talk show the next morning because that host showed up at wrestling the night before? Nobody. Like, I don't know. We're not a gaming podcast no more. We're a politics podcast, I guess. I don't know. I got one more topic for you. Do you want to hear this topic before we leave? It's a fun one. It's a good one.
All right, let's go. All
right, man. An hour and 45 minutes into this. We were supposed to end 45 minutes ago. Quick topic, very quick. Godzilla, apparently, the movie Godzilla is called Godzilla Minus One. The trailer just got released. This is the Japanese version of Godzilla. Remember, there's an American version where they're trying to copy MCU in some sort of way. That's got Godzilla teaming up with King Kong. They're doing their DX team up or something, going against somebody. Well, the Japanese version, if you don't want to see King Kong no more, they got their own movie. They just released the trailer. It's called Godzilla Minus One. It will be in theaters in early access by the end of this month, and it will be in theaters for everybody December 1st. That's Godzilla Minus One. I think this might be one of the first movies that I do go back to see in theaters. Okay. It's the Japanese version. Is not connected to Shin Godzilla, unfortunately. I know a lot of people love Shin Godzilla, including myself. It's still one of the best movies from their perspective, but they're just doing another Godzilla movie. If you look at their CGI for him, he does look different from the American version Godzilla or whatever. But it will be just a whole nother movie, and I'm excited to see it. I think I am going to see that in theaters. Quick talk, but I just wanted to mention it. I just saw it. I think we're still getting the American version of Godzilla as well. I don't know when that one comes out, but we're still getting that. So Godzilla's alive and well. I'm a huge fan of it. I did rewatch a lot of the old Godzillas not too long ago. It was within the last 10 years, but like, yeah, maybe that's a long time ago. I watched a lot of the old ones. I saw a few of them in theaters. I saw a few of them with you. And then I think they're still doing the King. Was it King Kong? They're doing a TV show too, right?
Yeah, the Skull Island.
Yeah. So if you're into kaiju, there's a lot of different monsters and stuff that you can see. A lot of stuff. But yeah, interesting enough, this one is actually called Godzilla as far as the movie title, where the American version, I still don't understand why they would go with this title, but I guess it was the Monarch story or Monarch something. It's like they should have kept Godzilla in the name, because I think that's going to hurt the sales and stuff a little bit. If people go to the theaters, they're going to be looking like, what's that? But I don't know. But yeah, this one's here. We got one this year. If the next one is do we know when the American version comes out? Can you look that up real quick? Do we know?
For the next Godzilla?
The one with King Kong, they're supposed to be teaming up. They friends now. They boys. They no longer got beef. You know, the Monarch something.
Let's see.
While he's looking that up, I do want to mention, I do watch the Japanese version of Godzilla a lot. They don't focus as much on the human interaction as much as the American audience does.
I have to watch that one. It's supposed to come out next year. It doesn't have it says April 12th,
okay,
2024, but I don't know if they've started filming because of all the strikes. But yeah, it's Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire.
So hopefully, 2 big Godzilla movies in 6 months. I'm a huge Godzilla fan. Hopefully, maybe we might see another game that might get an actual real print this time, instead of it just being like, here's 50 copies, and then if you want one, it's $300, $400 on eBay. So maybe we'll see another Godzilla game or something. I'm excited about this. Also, another topic that ain't got nothing to do with gaming. If you left 30 minutes early, I don't blame you. It's all right, though. Any last words for the people before we go play Remnant 2?
Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, man. Enjoy. Also, please tell me if you made it this far. What are you gonna buy on Black Friday? I am gonna put out a Black Friday video. I still got to figure out because it was going to be like, here are the top 5 games I'm gonna buy on Black Friday. But I know from the past, and I'm also expecting to buy a whole lot more. So we gonna see. But I'm just gonna see. Like, I'll give you a quick spoiler because one of them was going to be Gotham Knights, because I think I mentioned it a bunch of times. Okay. For the longest time, it was also going to be Callisto Protocol, but Callisto Protocol hit like the Black Friday price early, so I got it early. That for a long time was going to be the biggest one that I was going to get, because I was promoting that game when the channel was brand new until I turned heel on it, right? So yeah, I know, but Gotham Knights is definitely going to be one of them. That was like one of the other ones, and then we'll see. I think Jedi Fallen Order is another one, depending on the price point. I think it's already kind of cheap.
That's my main one.
The new Sonic game that the people were saying is a scam.
The bad one?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, I said it was Sonic done right before it came out. But I remember Frontiers dropped to 30. I think this one could drop lower because it already started to drop like that. But I don't know if that one's going to be in the top 5. We'll see, because I got to figure it out first, and then I'll record the vid. But yes, I am already planning to make a solid comeback. For anybody wondering, yes, I know I said this every episode for the past 10 episodes, but I can admit, I'm telling you the truth, I've already started working on new videos. Don't tell my job, because I've done some of it while I was at work. Anyways, that's all I got for you here. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you next week. My co-host as well, and we'll see you. Peace.